Your brain is a liar. And its biggest lie? Telling you that first love was special. But the truth is far more complex, far more painful, and yes, far more beautiful. Right now, as you stare at this screen, there's a face hidden in the deepest corners of your mind. Maybe 10 years have passed, maybe 20. But that face is still there. That smile, that voice, that touch. And you ask yourself, why? Why, out of all the people I've loved in my life, is it still that person? Here's the brutal truth, your first love didn't leave you. Neurologically, you can't let them go. Close your eyes. No, really, close them for a moment. And remember that moment. The very first one. Maybe it was a high school hallway. Maybe a summer camp. Maybe that hot July day in the neighborhood when the bikes fell over. Do you remember how your heart beat? Not just fast, differently. As if the organ in your chest had switched to another language, one you didn't understand but every cell in your body knew. That moment. That exact moment, your brain changed you forever. And you didn't even realize it. You're 16. Or 14. Or 18. Age doesn't matter, what matters is whether you were ready. And you weren't. Not even close. When that person walked through the door, the world literally slowed down. You know the cliché. You've seen it in every movie. But when it actually happens, God, when it actually happens, you understand why clichés exist. Because it's real. Your perception of time warps. Your dopamine receptors explode. Your ventral tegmental area, that tiny, primitive region in your brain, sounds the alarm. This matters. This matters a lot. And it does. But in that moment, your brain isn't just saying, I love this person. It's saying, this person represents your chance at survival. This is a candidate for the future. Everything is in this person. Evolutionarily, your brain still lives in a cave. And in the cave, your first partner was a matter of life and death. Reproduction, safety, survival, all in one package. That's why your brain slaps a special label on that first love, do not forget. Never forget. And you never do. The first months pass. Everything is magical. You remember their scent, a sweet, sharp mix of perfume and sweat. You still catch that smell on the street sometimes, don't you? Your head spins, your heart races, and for just a moment, just one moment, it's like they're there, behind you, finding you again. But they're not. They never are. Science calls this phenomenon olfactory memory. Smells are directly linked to your amygdala, the emotional memory center. They don't pass through the cortex like visual or auditory memories. Direct hit. That's why a single scent can transport you 15 years back in seconds. And suddenly you're there, on that summer evening, arms wrapped around their neck. Traumatic? Maybe. Beautiful? Absolutely. But why still? Now let's talk about the real truth. When your first love left you, or you left them, or life tore you apart, your brain didn't do one thing. It didn't erase those memories. On the contrary, it crystallized them. How? Cortisol. The stress hormone. When the relationship ends, your body goes into crisis mode. Evolutionarily, this is a loss, perhaps the greatest loss. And your body burns those moments, those feelings, into the deepest layers of your brain so you'll never forget the loss. Your hippocampus takes those memories and says, don't live through this again. Remember this pain. But here's the tragic irony, while you remember the pain, you also remember the love. The two are inextricably intertwined. That's why years later, even in a happy marriage, you hear a song, the song you listened to together, and your heart twists. And your spouse says, "What's wrong?" And you say, "Nothing." But there is something. There's always something. Let me tell you about a scientific study. Anthropologist Dr. Helen Fisher from Rutgers University scanned the brains of people in romantic love in 2005. She discovered that the same regions active in addicts' brains light up in lovers. the areas that burn in substance addicts like cocaine, alcohol, and gambling. Love is an addiction. And first love? That's the first hit. And you know the first hit is always the strongest. Have you ever talked to an addict who's used drugs? Do you know what they say? I'm still chasing that first high. But I can never find it. First love is the same. Every subsequent relationship is unconsciously compared to that initial experience. And each one falls short. Because that first experience was new. Your brain had never lived it before. Neural pathways were opening for the first time. Dopamine levels were skyrocketing. Everything was more. In later loves, your brain knows what's coming. There's excitement, but not that primal shock. No, oh my God, what is this moment? And you miss it. You miss that shock. Now quietly ask yourself, how many times in a new relationship have you caught yourself comparing them to your ex? Maybe not consciously. But a gesture, a laugh, a touch, and suddenly, you're making comparisons. They would do it this way. They would say it like that. And no matter how perfect your current partner is, a small, quiet part of you feels something missing. Because your brain created a reference point for you. And that reference point is the first relationship. Is realizing this unsettling? Yes. Is it something to be ashamed of? Never. This is what it means to be human. Neurologically, evolutionarily, emotionally, it's completely normal. But is it healthy? That's a whole different question. Years later, one night, you pick up your phone. Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And you wonder. Just curiosity. What are they doing now? One click. The profile opens. And there it is. That face. Older, changed, but still that face. And your heart, I swear, stops for a moment. Midnight. Your spouse is sleeping next to you. Or your partner. Or you're not alone, but you have a different life. You're a completely different person. Yet the second you look at that face, you're 16 again. So fast you can't catch your breath. And you ask yourself, what if? What if that relationship hadn't ended? What if you'd made different choices? What if that person was the one? This is where you hit a philosophical wall. Psychologists call it the sliding doors effect, imagining alternate versions of your life. And first love represents the biggest what if. Because it was the most open-ended relationship. It had to end because life moved on, school finished, cities changed, people grew up. But it didn't have to. A door full of open possibilities closed. And closed doors are always more fascinating than open ones. Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine you married that first love. Now, years later, you're in the same bedroom, having the same routine arguments. Bills, childcare, who's doing the dishes? Has that magic vanished? Maybe. Or maybe it just became life. But your brain won't accept that. Because you never lived first love in reality. You lived it in your imagination. And imagination is always more perfect than reality. Nostalgia is the cruelest game your mind plays. Because nostalgia is selective. It blurs the bad moments and polishes the good ones. When you think of your first love, do you remember the fights? The betrayals, the misunderstandings, the crying at night? Maybe. But what do you remember first? The sunlight. The laugh. The electric shock when your hands first touched. This phenomenon, called rosy retrospection, is your brain's mechanism for forgetting pain. Evolutionarily, it makes sense. If you remembered every hurt clearly, you'd never take risks, never love again. But the side effect? The past looks more beautiful than it was. And you cling to it. Because what else is there to hold on to? Let me tell you about a client. Let's call her Emily. 38 years old, 10-year marriage, 2 kids, successful lawyer. She came to therapy thinking she was depressed. But a few sessions in, the real story emerged. At 19, she fell in love at a summer camp. His name was David. 3 months of intense, merciless love. Summer ended, David went to college in another state. Contact faded. Back then there was no social media, phone calls were expensive, and they were young, stupid, too proud to reach out. Emily moved on. Loved others, married one, had kids. A good life. But one night, David found her on Facebook. A simple message, "Hey, remember me?" Remember? It was like Emily hadn't thought of anything else for 20 years. They started messaging. Innocent at first, old times, memories. But then, feelings. She admitted she still felt something. He did too. And now Emily is in my office, crying, "I've ruined my life. I have a perfect husband, amazing kids. But when I talk to David, I feel like myself again. What if he's my true love? What if I married the wrong person?" I'm telling you Emily's story to show this: not being able to forget your first love isn't a character flaw. It's not a lack of commitment. It's not a pathology. It's being human. But it's dangerous. Because the what if is a void. It pulls you in. And once you start falling, getting out is extremely hard. Do you know what I told Emily? You're not in love with David. You're in love with a ghost. The 19-year-old version. Because the real David, the David today, is a stranger. You don't know his fears, his flaws, his boring habits. He's a perfect image crystallized in your brain. And no real person can compete with a ghost. Have you ever felt this? Felt like you were living with a ghost? Share in the comments. Because you're not alone here. Millions of people are visited by the same ghost. Think of your brain as a city. Every memory is a road. Every repeated thought is a shovel that widens and deepens that road. Every moment with your first love, every conversation, every touch, every kiss, carved new neural pathways. And those pathways were used again and again. Until, over time, they became a highway. Now, years later, when your brain slips into old habits, a song, a scent, a dream, it automatically takes that road. Because it's the easiest. It's the deepest. And you lose control of the thought. 1 minute you're in the present. The next, you're 10 years back, sitting in that parked car beside them. Hands touching. And you, far there. Completely there. This is a neurological prison. And you are both prisoner and guard. But neural pathways are not fixed. There is brain plasticity. That means you can weaken old roads while building new ones. How? Awareness. Every time that old memory surfaces, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this real, or is it nostalgia? Was this person truly perfect, or am I remembering them that way? Then take a breath. And return to now. To your current life. To the people you love today. Because here's the truth, the past is beautiful. But the past is over. And your life, your real, fragile, imperfect life, is happening right now. Not everyone experiences their first love the same way. For some, it's just a simple memory. Oh yeah, I had a crush in high school. Cute thing. And that's it. But for others, it's an obsession. For years. Even decades. Why? Research shows that attachment styles play a huge role here. There's something called attachment theory, developed by psychologist John Bowlby. It says, the bond you formed with your parents in childhood shapes your adult relationships. If you have a secure attachment style, meaning you received consistent love and safety as a child, you're comfortable in relationships as an adult. Your first love stays a beautiful memory. In the past. But if you have an anxious attachment style, childhood love was inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, you constantly seek validation in adult relationships. And your first love might have been one of those rare moments of validation. So you cling to it. because you're afraid you'll never feel that again. Or if you have an avoidant attachment style, emotional distance in childhood, you fear closeness as an adult, but secretly crave it. And your first love becomes the perfect fantasy because it was almost real. It never fully happened, so it can never disappoint. Do you fit into these categories? Most people do. And this awareness can be liberating. Because once you realize the obsession isn't about the real person, it's about your own attachment wound, you can start to heal. How? Therapy, of course. But also, self-compassion. This is normal. I have a wound. And that wound can heal. First love isn't a modern phenomenon. It has existed in every era of human history. In ancient Greece, young lovers wrote letters to each other, filled with poetry, filled with pain. Romeo and Juliet is a first love story. The Sorrows of Young Werther, Goethe's 1774 novel, tells of a young man's hopeless first love. It was so powerful that many young people took their own lives after reading it. They called it the Werther effect. First love is universal. Because the brain is universal. But there's one difference: in the past, you left your first love behind. You stopped writing letters, moved to another city, and it was over. The chance of running into them again was slim. Now? Social media. They're one click away. Always. Profile pictures change, statuses update. And you watch. Maybe without commenting, maybe in secret. But you watch. This amplifies the memory of first love tenfold. Because they're no longer frozen in time. They live on in a digital parallel universe. And you can log in with a single click. Dangerous? Incredibly. I found a study. In 2012, a survey revealed that 30% of married people admitted to contacting exes on social media. And 60% of those acknowledged that it damaged their current relationships. Think about that. 60%. Millions of marriages cracking over a Facebook message. Why? Because an ex, especially a first love, is Pandora's box. Once you open it, emotions you can't control come pouring out. And those emotions overshadow your present, real, imperfect relationship. There's an English idiom, the one that got away. The fish that escaped. It doesn't translate perfectly into Turkish, but you know the feeling. That person. The one who almost was, but wasn't. And here's the harshest truth: that person probably didn't get away. They just weren't right. The timing was off, maturity was lacking, or simply, you weren't compatible. But your brain rejects that. Because the brain hates uncertainty. It wants definitive answers. And if a relationship ended ambiguously, no fight, no betrayal, just life happened, your brain can't construct a narrative. So it creates a romantic one: they were the one. And you believe it. Now let me ask, if you met your first love today, in reality, with 10 years of wait, worries, disappointments, would you still feel the same? Maybe. The human heart isn't logical. But most likely no. In the end, the person you loved wasn't human. It was a feeling. You tied that feeling to them. But the feeling was yours. All of it was yours. 2 a.m. You've had a few drinks. Maybe you're alone, maybe you fought with your partner. Phone in hand. That name, that profile, one click away. Just a hello. Harmless. But it's not harmless. It never is. You send the message. Heart pounding. Reply comes, hey. Wow, long time. And it starts. Conversations. Memories. Remember that night by the lake. Remember that song I played for you. With every message, dopamine explodes in your brain. Talking to them is thrilling. Not new, not old. A kind of timeless. A bubble outside reality. But reality returns. Your partner notices. Or you don't notice, but guilt creeps in. Or you realize this leads nowhere. Because you've lived two different lives. They're married to someone else, living in another country, or just someone else. And the bubble bursts. And you feel worse. Here's a truth: reconnecting with old loves is emotional cheating. Even if nothing physical happens. Because you're giving your emotional energy, your time, your dreams to someone else. Stealing from your current partner. And that's not fair. Not to them, not to yourself. If you're doing this right now, secretly messaging an ex, here's my advice: stop. Now. Close the window. Delete the number. Because this path only leads to pain. In 2010, neuroscientists at Stony Brook University scanned the brains of couples still in love after 20 years. Result? The love centers in their brains, our VTA, nucleus accumbens, were still active. Just like in newly in love brains. But there was a difference: in long-term lovers' brains, there were also relaxation and security hormones. Oxytocin, vasopressin. So, love plus safety. Now think about this study in the context of first love. In first love, there's only love. No safety. No maturity. No sustainability. Just raw, pure, adrenaline-fueled love. And the brain records it. And says, this is real love. But it's not. It's inexperienced love. And experience makes everything better: cooking, driving, sex. Why would love be different? The truth: mature love is deeper. Stronger. Because there's choice. In first love, your brain isn't choosing, it's just reacting. Hormone explosion. But in mature love, you wake up every day and choose. I love this person. With their flaws, habits, fears. All of it. Is it less exciting? Maybe. Less valuable? Never. The problem: your brain translates excitement into value. Adrenaline equals important. Comfort equals ordinary. And that's an evolutionary glitch. Because in the cave, excitement meant survival. But in the modern world, comfort means success. But your brain doesn't get it. That's why it mistakes first love for real love. For most people, first love nostalgia is harmless. An occasional thought, a slight pang, and life goes on. But for some, it turns into an obsession. There's a condition called erotomania. A serious psychological disorder. The person believes someone, usually a first love or an unattainable figure, is in love with them. No evidence. Even counter-evidence. But the brain distorts reality. We all have lighter versions of this. Maybe they still think about me. Maybe they imagine us. Maybe one day. These fantasies are dangerous. Because they pull you out of the present. They make you live in an imaginary future. I had a patient, let's call him Marcus. 42 years old. A 10-year relationship ended. Can't find someone new. And the reason? A woman he loved at 25. Her name was Sarah. A 3-month relationship. Sarah left him, married someone else. Marcus has been thinking about Sarah for 17 years. Every day. Every woman he meets, he compares to Sarah. Sarah was funnier. Sarah was prettier. Sarah was more Sarah. And now, Marcus is alone. Because no real woman can compete with a ghost woman. Do you know what I told him? Marcus, you don't love Sarah. You love an idea. And that idea is killing you. It's keeping you from living a real life. It wasn't easy for him to accept. But over time, slowly, he saw it. And today, he's with someone new. Happy. Because he let the past go. Do you feel like Marcus right now? Living with a ghost, rejecting reality? If so, here's what I'll tell you: a ghost can't keep you safe. Can't cook for you. Can't hold you when you're sick. It can only disappoint. And you deserve a real life. The good news, you can make peace with your first love. You don't have to forget them. You just have to reframe them. How? Step 1. Accept. Your first love was unforgettable. Yes. But it wasn't perfect. It was an experience, not a real person. And you were shaped by that experience. It taught you. But it stayed behind. Step 2. Write. Really. Write a letter. To your first love. You'll never send it. But write it. Say everything. Thank them. Apologize. Say goodbye. Then, burn it. Or keep it. But create closure. In your mind. Because your brain loves closure. Uncertainty drives it crazy. But a definitive end calms it. Step 3. Focus on now. Every time a first love memory hits, ask yourself, what am I missing right now? Maybe your partner's smile. Maybe your child's voice. Maybe a coffee with a friend. Reclaim the present moment. Because the truth is, life isn't in the future. Not in the past. It's now. This second. And if you spend this second thinking about your first love, you're losing. Step 4. Build new neural paths. Your brain can change. Create new memories. With your current partner, or with yourself if you're alone. New experiences. New songs. New scents. Give your brain new highways. Stop using the old ones. Over time, the old paths weaken. Grass grows over them. And you are free. Let me tell you about a woman. Her name is Linda. 50 years old. Married for 30 years. But in her mind, she still carries her 18-year-old boyfriend. His name was Tom. High school sweetheart. Tom met someone else in college and left Linda. She was devastated. But she moved on. Got married, had kids, built a career. Yet inside, there was always something missing. Always a what if. One day, there was a high school reunion. Linda went. And there was Tom. 50 years old, bald, belly out, and ordinary. Very ordinary. They talked. Tom had been divorced twice, was alone, unhappy. And in that moment, Linda realized a shocking truth: she hadn't loved Tom. She'd loved the idea of him. Young, strong, charismatic Tom. But the real Tom was just a person. A human with flaws and failures. That night, she came home and looked at her husband. Quietly watching TV. Ordinary. Even boring. But real. And there. And faithful. And for the first time in 30 years, Linda felt grateful. For the reality, not the ghost. This story doesn't always end this way. Some people meet their old love and the spark is still there. Some try a second chance. And sometimes it works. But most of the time, it doesn't. Because you're no longer that person. Neither are they. And in second chance relationships, you usually repeat the mistakes of the first. But most importantly, even if you reunite with your first love, the nostalgia doesn't go away. Because nostalgia isn't about the person. It's about the timing, the youth, that moment. And that moment never comes back. Have you ever wondered, why did evolution program us to suffer like this? Why does our brain cling so tightly to the past? The answer, because our ancestors who remembered the past survived. This plant was poisonous, don't eat it. I saw a lion here, avoid it. Memory was a survival tool. But the side effect? Emotional memories are stored the same way. This person made me happy. Never forget them. Yet evolution didn't account for divorce. It didn't consider social media. It didn't anticipate the complexity of modern life. So right now, we're living in the 21st century with Stone Age brains. And the brain is confused. Because it was designed for simple threats and simple rewards. Not complex relationships, digital communication, lifelong monogamy. This isn't your fault. It's your brain's fault. And you can forgive your brain. Every culture processes first love differently. In some, it's romantic. Poems, songs, movies. First love is never forgotten. It's celebrated. In others, it's fleeting. Youthful folly. Laughed at, left behind. In Western culture, especially America, first love is given almost sacred status. High school sweetheart. First love. Pop culture feeds it. Movies, songs, shows. All delivering the same message: your first love is special. And that message sinks into your brain. Socially, you're taught to value first love. So brain biology plus cultural programming equals powerful attachment. In other cultures, like some Asian societies, marriages are practical. Love grows over time. First love isn't emphasized as much. And studies show people in those societies obsess over first love less. So part of it is cultural. But that doesn't make your feelings less valid. It just helps you understand. Okay, enough theory. Let's get practical. How do you break the power your first love has over you? Tool 1: Mindfulness meditation. Every day, 5 minutes. Eyes closed. Focus on your breath. Thoughts will come, your first love, memories. Don't stop them. Just observe. Without judgment. There's that thought again. And let it pass. Over time, the thoughts lose control. Because you're not reacting. You're just watching. Tool 2: Cognitive restructuring. When a thought hits, they were my true love, stop. Ask yourself, what's the evidence? Was it really like that, or am I remembering it that way? Then find counter-evidence. But we fought a lot. But they cheated on me. But we had incompatible values. Remember the truth, not the fantasy. Tool 3: Behavioral experiment. If you're truly curious, really curious, do a test. Meet your ex safely, with your partner's knowledge, for coffee. And see the reality. They're a person. Flawed, aged, changed. Most of the time, that's enough. The spell breaks. Tool 4: iMemory box. Put all the memories, photos, letters, gifts, in a box. Close it. Store it in a closet. Or throw it away. Your choice. But don't keep them out. Because every time you see them, neural paths activate. If they're out of sight, forgetting is easier. Tool 5: Create new memories. This is the most important. Fill your current life with rich memories. Travel. Pick up new hobbies. With your partner, or friends, new experiences. Give your brain new material. Old memories get overwritten by new ones. And over time, the past blurs. Now, let's shift perspective. Imagine your partner can't forget their first love. You're the second love. Or third. But they're still thinking about that first person. How does that feel? Disappointment. Betrayal. Not good enough. And you're right. Because in a relationship, both people need to be fully present. Not just physically, but mentally. And if your partner's mind is stuck in the past, you're getting shortchanged. But understanding matters here. It's not personal. It's neurological. It doesn't mean your partner doesn't love you. They're just wrestling with a bond. What you can do, gently, have an open conversation. I notice you sometimes drift to the past. And it hurts me. Can we talk? Most people aren't even aware. When it's pointed out, they feel ashamed. And they try to change. But if they don't? If they're obsessively living in the past? Then maybe this relationship isn't healthy. And you deserve better. A side note, if your child is experiencing their first love, don't dismiss it. Oh, just puppy love. It'll pass. It will pass. But right now, it's their whole world. And if you belittle it, they shut down. They feel unseen. Instead, show empathy. I know it feels intense. First love is special. But remember, it's just the beginning. There will be more love in your life. And give them emotional tools. If it hurts, we can talk. You can cry. But then, life goes on. Because how kids learn to heal from first love shapes how healthy they'll be in adult relationships. Night. You're sleeping. And a dream. That person is there. Talking to you, laughing, maybe kissing you. You wake up. Heart racing, sweating. And for a moment, it feels real. Then reality returns. Just a dream. But the feeling is real. And you carry that feeling through the day. Dreams are the language of the subconscious. And if your first love is buried there, it will surface in dreams. This is normal. But what does it mean? Usually, unresolved emotions. Unclosed doors. Maybe you never apologized. Maybe you never thanked them. Maybe you just never said goodbye. And your subconscious is asking you to do it. So write that letter. Tell your dreams, okay, I heard you. Now you can go. And usually, the dreams fade. Sometimes, you really do reunite with your first love. Years later. You're both single, or divorced. And you try. There are a few success stories. Truly. Many couples have married in the second round and been happy. But the statistics? Not encouraging. Most second-chance relationships fail. Why? Because you're not the same people. Neither are they. And the old dynamics return. Old fights, old problems. Plus, the nostalgia bubble bursts. First date, excitement. Oh my God, this is it. But by the third date, reality. Oh, they still have the same habits. Still the same flaws. And disappointment hits hard. Because expectations were sky high. If you're trying a second chance, here's my advice, be realistic. This is a new relationship. Not the old one. That person isn't who they were. Neither are you. And that's a good thing. Because maybe now, you're more mature. More compatible. But if you're replaying the old script, same dynamics, same patterns, stop. Because that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. Now I'm going to tell you a deeply unsettling truth. Ready? Science says, romantic love lasts, on average, 3 years. Yes, you read that right. 3 years. After that, it starts changing biochemically. Dopamine levels drop. Adrenaline fades. And something else takes over. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Serotonin, the comfort hormone. Romantic love turns into attachment love. From passion to partnership? Evolutionarily, it makes sense. 3 years is enough for a child to be born and take its first steps. For our ancestors, after that point, the couple could stay together or split. The child was old enough to survive. But what does this mean for first love? Here's the painful truth, your first love usually ends before those 3 years. High school ends, college starts, cities change. The relationship ends before it ever reaches the attachment phase. That's why, in your memory, there's only romantic love. Only passion. Only dopamine explosions. And in later relationships, when passion fades after 3 years, your brain says, this is different from first love. Maybe the wrong person. But it's not. It's just love's natural evolution. Your first love feels different because it never reached the attachment phase. It never became ordinary. It never became real. And you're in love with a fantasy. Now think about this. If you had married your first love, after 3 years, you'd have felt the same dullness. The same routine arguments. The same faded passion. Because it's brain chemistry. Inevitable. But your brain doesn't know that. Your brain says, first love never faded. Because it ended before it could. And that's why you can never let it go. You open Instagram. And there it is. Your first love's profile. Stories. Happy photos. On the beach, with friends, maybe a new partner. And your heart twists. Because they're happy. Without you. This is social media's darkest side. You're only exposed to curated moments. You don't see the fights. The worries, the fears, the depressive nights. Just filtered happiness. And your brain mistakes it for reality. They're happier without me. But they're not. Or maybe they are. But it doesn't matter. Because they're no longer part of your life. And you're hurting yourself. Every profile visit is a knife. Every story view is a wound. Here's my radical suggestion: unfollow. Even block. Yes, it sounds harsh. But protecting yourself isn't weakness. It's strength. Because every time you see them, neural paths reactivate. The attachment renews. And you never heal. Do a digital detox. Remove that person from your digital life. It'll hurt at first. But over time, it eases. And one day, you'll forget to check their profile. And that day, you'll taste freedom. Sometimes, holding on to first love is a sign of something else: trauma. If the first love was harmful and you're still attached, it might be traumatic bonding. There's a thing called trauma bonding. The person hurts you. But occasionally, very rarely, they give you love too. And your brain gets confused. Pain plus love equals intense bond. And you mistake that intensity for real love. But it's not. It's trauma. In this case, therapy is essential. Because breaking these patterns alone is extremely hard. Ask yourself, did your first love make you feel good or dramatic? Was it stable or chaotic? If the answer is chaotic, maybe what you're attached to isn't love. It's drama. And drama is addictive. Because it's unpredictable. And the brain loves unpredictable rewards most. Like a slot machine. Sometimes you win, most times you lose. But hope keeps you hooked. And that's how a toxic first love follows you for years. Maybe your first love left you. Maybe they cheated. Maybe they just vanished. And you're still angry. You feel broken. And those feelings chain you. Because anger is a bond. Not just love. Hate binds too. If you're still angry, you're still attached. The only way out: forgive. But forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. Doesn't mean approving. It just means letting go. What they did to me was wrong. It hurt. But I won't carry that pain anymore. Because that weight belongs to them, not me. And you release it. Slowly. Maybe one day, completely. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. Because anger is poison. You drink it hoping they'll die. But the one who dies is you. And you deserve to live. Now, close your eyes. Imagine. 1 year from now. You wake up in the morning. And your first thought isn't them. It's something else. What you'll do today. The people you love. Your dreams. While drinking your coffee, you hear a song. The song you listen to together. But this time, your heart doesn't twist. Just a soft smile. Nice song. And it passes. In the afternoon, you look at an old photo. You're young and happy. Yes, there's a touch of sadness. But no pain. Just a memory. Sweet and harmless. And in the evening, you lie in bed with your partner or with yourself. And you're at peace. Completely, right now, here. Not in the past. This is freedom. This is healing. And it's possible. I know because I've seen it. Hundreds of people have made this journey. They started with pain. They ended with peace. And you can too. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something different. Write a letter not to your first love, but to yourself. To that younger version. The heartbroken one whose world collapsed. And say, "Dear me, I know you're hurting right now. It feels like the world is ending. That person was everything. And now they're gone. But here's what I need to tell you, you will survive. This pain will pass. Not completely, you'll always carry a piece of it. But it will stop being heavy. It will become light. Even sweet. And you will learn. You'll learn to love. To trust. To let go. It was your first love. But it won't be your last. There's more love. More pain. But also more beauty. And most importantly, you'll learn to love yourself. Because you were always there. Even after they left. And you always will be. You are strong. You are worthy. And you are not alone. With love. Your future self. Now write this letter. Really. On paper. Or on your computer. But write it. And read it. Out loud. And let the emotions come. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. Feeling is part of healing. I spoke with elderly people. In their 60s, 70s, 80s. And I asked them, do you remember your first love? Most smiled. Of course. I'd never forget. But then they said, it was just a chapter. A beautiful one. But my life consists of many chapters. With age, perspective changes. First love is still special. But no longer everything. A memory. A piece in the mosaic of life. And the elderly said one more thing, I wish I hadn't dwelled on it so much and had truly lived. Because life isn't lived in the past. It's lived now. And you, how many years have you spent in the past right now? If you're married and still thinking about your first love, don't feel guilty. But take action. Talk to your spouse. Be honest. Sometimes I think about my past. And that puts you in an unfair position. But I choose to be with you. And I want to be better. This kind of honesty strengthens the relationship. Because trust comes from transparency. Then, create new memories with your spouse. Romantic getaways. Surprise gifts. Small gestures. Show your brain, this is real love. Now, here. Over time, new memories will overshadow the old ones. And the first love will fade into the background. But if your relationship is already troubled and the first love is an escape, then there's a different problem. Maybe the current relationship isn't working. And to resolve it, therapy or honest conversation is needed. Escaping to first love is temporary relief. But not a permanent solution. If you're a young reader, right in the middle of your first love, here's my advice. Live it. Fully, feeling every moment. This is a part of your life. A beautiful, intense, unforgettable part. But not the only one. This relationship will end one day. Maybe not now, maybe years from now. But most likely, it will end. Because people grow. Life keeps evolving. And when it does, you'll hurt. That's normal. Allow yourself to grieve. But then, get up. And move forward. Because your life has only just begun. And one more thing, don't make your first love the standard for your life. Because it's not a standard. It's a beginning. And beginnings are always raw, intense, and complicated. As you mature, your love will mature too. Deeper, healthier, more real. And it will be even more beautiful. I promise. In recent years, neuroplasticity research has uncovered incredible findings. The brain can change. Neural pathways can be reshaped. In one study, patients with chronic pain were given daily meditation and cognitive exercises. After 8 weeks, brain scans showed changes. The regions processing pain had shrunk. New neural connections had formed. The same principle applies to emotional pain. If every day you consciously reframe thoughts about your first love, this is the past. It's over. I'm in the present. Your brain will change. It may take months, maybe a year, but it will happen. And one day, that old pathway will weaken so much that you won't go there anymore. Automatically, you'll take different paths. The paths of the present. Science offers hope. Change is possible. Your mind is a garden. Your first love is a tree planted there. Years ago. It has grown and strengthened. Its roots are deep. Now, you want to uproot that tree. But it's hard. It hurts. Maybe impossible. Here's the alternative: plant new seeds. New flowers, new trees. Fill your garden. That old tree is still there. But it's no longer the only one. Just one of many plants. Over time, when you look at your garden, it's not the first thing you see. New beauties, new colors. That old tree stands quietly in the background. Still there, but no longer dominating the garden. This is the key to mental health. Not erasing the past, but making it a small part of the whole. Now, I will ask you the most important question. And I want an honest answer. Just to yourself. Why can't you forget your first love? Is it really that person? Or something else? Perhaps that person represents your youth. Pure, boundless, dream-filled youth. No responsibilities. No worries. Just feeling. Perhaps that person represents a lost opportunity. A different version of your life. The what-if question. Perhaps that person represents your ideal. The perfect partner. Because it was never tested in real life, it remained flawless. Or perhaps that person represents a yes, I am worthy a moment for you. Because when they loved you, you felt worthy. And after they left, you lost that feeling. What is the truth? Only you know. But once you know it, you can start healing. Because the problem isn't that person. The problem is what they represent. And you can find that thing elsewhere. From yourself. From your life now. From new people. You don't need that person. You never did. 25 years later, one day, you're walking on the street. And there they are. Your first love. For a moment, your heart races. But then, calm. Because they're no longer a ghost. Just a person. You smile. Hello. How are you? A short conversation. Polite. But superficial. Because you no longer know them. And they don't know you. You part ways. And you keep walking. And you realize you felt nothing. Not even nostalgia. Just indifference. And in that moment, freedom. This ending may not come for everyone. But it should. Because life is lived forward. Not backward. And you deserve the forward. Now that you've finished this content, you need to make a choice. Option 1, do nothing. Close this video, go on with your life. And let your first love still quietly control your mind. Option 2, take a step. Even a small one. Today, right now, do something. Write that letter. To your first love or to yourself. Unfollow them on social media. Have a deep conversation with your partner. Book an appointment with a therapist. Or just promise yourself, I will make peace with my past. And share in the comments. Seriously. It can be anonymous. But write it. I've been through this too. Or this helped me. Or I'm still struggling. Because I want to build this community. So you know you're not alone. Millions of people carry the same ghost. And together we can let it go. One last thing. Very important. Not being able to forget your first love is not a weakness. Not a failure. It's being human. But not being able to let it go is a choice. And that choice has a cost. Your present time. Your present loves. Your present happiness. And you don't deserve that. You don't deserve to be a prisoner of the past. You deserve freedom. You've earned peace. You deserve a life real, deep, flawed but still beautiful. And that life can begin now. With your permission. Close your eyes. One last time. And imagine that tree in your garden. Still there. But you're no longer in its shadow. You're in the sunlight. Among new flowers. You're smiling. You're free. And that feeling, that true, deep sense of freedom, is real love. To yourself. Thank you for watching this video. If it touched you, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Because more content is coming. From the depths of psychology, from the complexity of human experience. And remember, your past defines you. But it doesn't imprison you. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself.